back, everyone, to our second hashtag HireMe 2023 employer panel of this year, which is hosted by BCJobs.ca. So my name is Chelsea, as you can see my title here, and I'll be your BC Jobs host for today's panel. Okay, so I would also like to have a little land acknowledgement today. So I would like to begin by acknowledging that the land that we gather on virtually is the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, whose relationship with the land continues to this day. So for those of you who are new to these panels, we host these panels every month, and we have having one more person join us. Welcome, Martina. So we have 3 special panels from various sectors. Join us for a little Q&A on what's new with their organizations and to talk a bit about the job market and hiring in BC. So we are proud that BC Jobs is Western Canada's biggest online jobs board. And to stay in the loop about companies that are hiring, you can also check out our Innovators podcast to learn more about what industry leaders are saying about the job market. And that's at bcjobs.ca/podcast. So before we get started here today, I want to encourage our audience to type your questions for the panelists into the chat box at any point. So if a question comes to mind, pop it in the chat, and we will get to the questions later on during our audience Q&A. And I'll try and make sure we get through all the questions. So you'll have an option either to raise your hand, or you can put a question in the chat, and it's like first come, first serve. So today we will also be offering a job candidate pitch event right before we start our audience Q&A. So if you've been to our panels before, you may have noticed in the past that people can nominate themselves in the chat to pitch themselves in 30 seconds to our panelists. I know that's kind of scary, but it's really good practice for public speaking and also for interviewing, for brushing up on those rusty interviewing skills. So I highly suggest nominating yourself, and I'll give some more instructions later on today when we get to that segment. And so what happens is 3 candidates will be selected for a 30-second pitch to tell our guest speakers about yourself and your experience. That could be your work experience, it could be your student experience. And the person with the best pitch will then receive a 30-minute resume consultation with BC Jobs. So that's a little incentive to nominate yourself later. So when we get to this part of the panel, I will provide some instructions on how to nominate yourself and give that short pitch. Okay, so let's get some introductions going here. I'm going to pass the virtual mic over to Davin Gislason, Manager of Talent Acquisition at Thrive Health. So Davin, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today, and we'd love to know more about yourself and Thrive Health.
Let people in. Cool. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I am the Manager of Talent Acquisition at Thrive Health. I've been with the organization for about 9-10 months now. I've been recruiting for a lot longer than that, longer than I'd like to say. But and what Thrive Health is we're a digital health company. So we partner with healthcare providers like healthcare clinics or departments within hospitals. We've worked with the federal and provincial governments with coming up with digital health solutions. Yeah.
Very exciting. Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Davin. Next up, we have Reshmi Nair, a recruitment lead at Northern Labs. Reshmi, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'd love to know more about you and what Northern Labs is all about.
Thank you, Chelsea. Hey, everybody. My name is Reshmi. I am the recruitment lead, as Chelsea mentioned, at Northern Labs. Been at Northern Labs for just over a year. Been doing recruitment for over 5 years now. That came as a shock to me recently when I was updating my profile. That's my dog, Bailey. He says hello to all of you as well. Northern Labs is actually a startup company. We work in the blockchain space, and we're a venture studio company who works very closely with entrepreneurs to help them kind of build out their product and their companies going ahead. So that's what we do. If you have any more questions, because I know it can be a little complicated, feel free to drop me a note or connect with me later, and I'd be happy to answer all questions.
Perfect. That's great to know, Reshmi. And last but not least, I'd like to introduce Shannon Ford, client partner at Fraser Health Authority. Welcome, Shannon.
Hey, everybody. Thanks, Chelsea. So I've been working in the recruiting field for a few decades now. I also won't say for exact dates, but I really enjoy it. I really love it. I personally like making the connection between the right person and the right position. I've worked in a variety of industries and fields, but most recently with Fraser Health since 2006. And currently I'm doing recruiting for their IT department. So healthcare recruitment is something I feel very passionate about. And working with Fraser Health is like working with family. I love my family. I know it might sound cheesy, but it's true. So a little bit about Fraser Health. Fraser Health is BC's largest health region. So we provide service for 1.9 million British Columbians. That's a third of BC's population. So our region is from Burnaby to Hope. We have a very diverse multicultural population, including 6 Métis chartered communities, 62,000 Indigenous people, and 32 First Nation communities. So it's very big. We are voted one of BC's largest and best, and one of Canada's largest and best. We just got the award for that, best employer, so that's terrific. And we have over 43,000 staff and volunteers. So it's a big, busy place, but it's a great place to be.
Amazing introduction. And just to clarify, you only recruit in the IT department, right? So if anyone has any questions about like other departments like healthcare and stuff, you might be able to provide like a link or contact for those questions.
Correct. Yes. For myself, I only do for IT. So if anyone's looking to get into nursing, mental health, any other aspect of healthcare, I can take your information and pass it along. But for myself today, I will be talking primarily, yes, about IT recruitment.
Perfect. Okay, great to know. Thanks for that fantastic introduction. So now that we know our panelists a little bit better, I've got a few of my own questions that I'm going to start us off with before we move over to our candidate pitch event and our audience Q&A. So the next questions are geared more towards networking tips for job candidates. And I'll start off with Reshmi. So Northern Labs is a remote-first company based in Toronto, but hiring across Canada. What's the mission and vision of the company?
Yeah, it's a great question. So like I said, we work very closely with entrepreneurs here at Northern Labs. So our mission is to lower the barrier to entrepreneurship. And then the vision, I guess, slightly more difficult for me to remember, but is to revolutionize different industries with blockchain technology, but we're starting with gaming here at Northern Labs.
Oh, cool. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Right on. All right. So if anyone has any questions for Reshmi, let her know. Okay. My next question's for Shannon here. So Shannon, you were just talking about the amount of people that Fraser Health Authority serves, but I was doing my own little research on LinkedIn, and you have over 1,000 employees. 11,000 employees on LinkedIn. What's it like working for such a large organization with a huge client base?
It's true. It's sometimes hard to keep track of, but I can think of a few key benefits. One of them for sure, and I'm going to keep it in theme with today as well. There's many professional opportunities that are open and available. When you have access to a larger network, to a big company, you have a larger network of opportunities that can certainly help propel career and personal growth within the confines of the organization, and that sometimes gives people a little more of that personal stability and peace of mind as well. And with a larger company, especially if you are just starting out, seeing the many available opportunities in a large organization, especially if the healthcare industry is your passion, like it was for me, it can help your career path become more defined, especially if you see an area of the company you can help. You're like, oh, I really want to work in that area. I want to focus my time and attention on that for the long haul. And you can find a subject matter expert, work alongside that, get some mentorship, it really helps build your professional development, especially in the long run, because then you've become a subject matter expert yourself as well, too. So I think that's one of the key benefits. I think stability and security is another key advantage. I mean, everyone here knows that the job market is lots of volatility, and a larger company can sometimes offer a little more, an open door when one might close. And for healthcare, it's always evolving, trying and keeping up with the times. So there's always a lot of opportunities for people to be part of that lasting solution, or just to come up with ideas to help us propel the next wave of advancements in healthcare. So if it's healthcare itself, technology, or something else, we're always looking for those people to help us do that.
Amazing. Great to know. So my next question here is for Davin. Thrive Health had some recent achievements this past fall in 2022. You guys came in first place in, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Deloitte's 2022 Technology Fast 50 Companies to Watch Award. It's a bit of a mouthful. And you joined the 2022 Canadian Technology Accelerators Digital Health Program. Tell us a bit about this recent achievement and this program.
Yeah, we were ranked number 1 in the category of companies to watch, which specifically celebrated 15 startups that demonstrated exceptional potential for continued growth and leadership in their respective industries. A big part of that recognition was our significant revenue growth that we experienced from 2018 to 2021. And that was attributed to our impressive application of our technology to aid in the COVID-19 response across Canada. In just a few weeks, we did a mass pivot and we launched mobile applications in partnership with Health Canada and the BC Ministry of Health to help Canadians keep up to date on the latest pandemic advisories and to track their symptoms. We also partnered with Life Labs and developed the WorkClear product, for PCR testing, and provided tech for Canada's largest enterprises and universities to manage rapid testing and vaccine declarations. And then as part of the Canadian Technology Accelerator Digital Health Program for 2022, we were one of 9 Canadian companies that were part of that. And it just helps us to equip, the intention is to help Canadian promising digital health startups with market intelligence, strategic guidance, and access to key stakeholders in major cities like Boston, New York, and San Francisco. And so it's going to help us target U.S. health systems, especially at the hospital level, with focusing on reducing data fragmentation, improving digital health experience, empowering providers and patients with actionable insights. So, we're incredibly excited to work with the CTA and with the other members as we enter the U.S. healthcare space.
That's very exciting. Congratulations on your win last fall. That you must be so proud.
We're very proud.
Yeah. All right. My next question is for back to Reshmi. For job candidates who are transitioning into tech from other sectors, what advice would you give to them in terms of growing their personal professional networks?
I love networking. So I think it always comes down to that. Like, I think attending a lot of networking events and having the opportunity to speak to people in person, whether it's recruiters, whether it's hiring managers, I think will give you an edge over just an application that we see online. I'm not totally sure about BC, but I know here in Toronto, we have quite a few of tech networking events, one of the more popular ones being Tech TO. And most of the attendees at such events are definitely people either early on in their career, looking for just graduated, looking for their first job, or more so even people who were transitioning from one career stream to another. So it's definitely, I think, one of the greatest places to see results from is to just attend these networking events and get to speak to all of these amazing people.
Great tips. So in-person versus virtual networking events. I'm sure we've got lots of different tech and IT events here in the Lower Mainland and across BC. So. Yeah,
I think there was one specifically focused on women in tech just a couple of weeks ago, which was apparently really exciting. I have a few friends who attended it. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of options out there.
I did hear about that one. Yes. Yes. I think had a good turnout. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom and advice with us. My next question is for Shannon. So Shannon, what kinds of tips would you give to our job candidates today for connecting with recruiters at Fraser Health? Should they be reaching out like over LinkedIn for coffee chats, for example?
Thanks. So I'll speak to myself first of all, is for the IT recruiter. For those that make a great first impression are mindful of my time. And so to send me a brief introduction over LinkedIn messaging and their resume is great. And to be really specific, I think the ones that have put some really thought into it, as opposed to just asking general questions like, what kind of IT jobs are there in Fraser Health, or something, what is Fraser Health about? But if they really have taken the time to, either do a cover letter or a brief introduction. I've had that, and we've had success of placing candidates who do that. And that way I can take a look at their ask, see what it is, see what their work history is, their education. Then I can reach out to the hiring team on their behalf and then see if there's a fit for that team. And of course, if we can make that connection that way, it's always great, because I'm always looking to bring the right fit into our organization and to bring those two worlds together. The other thing I would say too is keep it professional. So no personal questions, no political questions, nothing like that. No one's asking Fraser Health recruiters things about things like that. So, if they're wanting information on, say, the work, we get that.
you get the personal political questions over LinkedIn.
Sometimes it's like, nope, sorry, not going to give that. Our communications have taught us well. So unless the person is asking about, say, for example, the work permit process, if it applies to them personally within working for Fraser Health, that's a bit of a different matter. But, if someone's really passionate about getting into Fraser Health, make that connection, reach out. We're a friendly bunch. If someone's looking to get into nursing or to mental health, seek out the recruiters. Or if you've made a connection with me on LinkedIn and say, I have a partner, I have a friend, I have someone who's looking for, say, nursing or whatever, I can give the recruiter's name and then they can reach out and make that impression. But, to really have something that you're specifically looking for, and that's, I'm looking for this, and I like Fraser Health, and this is the skills that I bring. It's like, hey, that's great. You've really thought about it. You've made that connection, and just then we can go from there.
Perfect. Okay, great tips. All right, and my next question, and my last question, is for Davin. So, Davin, how important was networking for you in terms of your career trajectory, and what are some current trends that you see in the job market with networking and job candidates?
Well, I've never really considered myself much of a networker, and that's kind of because I was painfully shy when I was growing up. I tend to be more of an introvert, and I've seen people at networking events that just do it way better than me. They seem way more comfortable and stuff. So I've never really thought of myself as much of a networker. But then when I was actually going through the jobs that I've had as in my professional career, of the 8 jobs, 5 of them I found through some type of networking. And in the last decade, all but one of them was found through networking. So I think I'm probably a better networker than what I think. And it's been helpful in my career trajectory. I do consider networking to be a very broad umbrella term that can be just about anything that doesn't involve just applying to the job on the organization's website. So it can be attending a career fair like this. It could be introducing yourself on LinkedIn and starting a conversation that way. It can be meeting someone at the dog park. I have a friend who's found some connections that way. I would also consider working with an agent, or like a recruitment agency or a third-party recruiter, as networking as well, because you're actually leveraging their networks to help make those connections. So as for current trends, I don't really consider myself a trend spotter. But there's been a couple things that I've noticed, and I think it's just caught my attention recently because there have been more people applying for jobs. And you know that phrase, don't work harder, work smarter. I think that there's something along the same lines of don't apply harder or apply for more jobs more often, just apply smarter. Just recently I had 2 people, it was just last week, 2 people messaged me on LinkedIn, and I don't know if people here know that, but when there's that part on the job that says contact the poster or contact the hiring team, there's that message link. LinkedIn will pre-fill the message with its own template. And so I ended up getting two messages almost back to back on the same position. And if they didn't have different first names, the message would have been identical. So I think that automation is great and it can save you some time, but take that time that you're saving to personalize things a little bit more, get to know the company, and, find out if you're truly interested in that job, that company, about their mission. I think that that's the way that you really stick yourself above and out from other people who are applying. I've never been a big fan of like blindly applying and applying to things. I think it's better and a better use of your time to find companies and roles that you really want first, and then focus on those. You know how I'd mentioned there was one job that I had found not through networking. I just applied on their website. It was a company that I kind of already knew them. I knew that I liked their brand. I knew I liked what they did. And then the job posting was just something that as soon as I read it, I was like, I'm into that. And so I wrote my cover letter, personalized cover letter. It probably took me 8 minutes. Like, it wasn't very hard because I knew what I was interested in. I knew how I was applicable, and it was very like, and I hope you call me soon kind of thing. And I got a call within 36 hours. So I think that like those types of things that you do to stand out from the rest will be really worth your time. And I think I'm sort of piggybacking a little bit on what Shannon was talking about regarding LinkedIn as well. Like, I've had several people just message me over the last week where their first message is just, "Hi, Davin." And there's nothing else that follows up. And I don't know, like, I kind of know, I think I know why they're contacting me, but maybe they're contacting me to sell something. I don't know. And so, like, it's not the same as text messaging, right? Like, it's a business. This is a business site. So you're going to have to, try your best to make yourself stand out. I feel like that was a really long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
No, I really like how you're talking about being intentional with when you apply for jobs. I think that's really important, instead of mass sending out messages and applications, like, be intentional, look into the company, and maybe even network with the company a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for answering my question. I really enjoyed all your answers. They were very interesting and thoughtful. And next up, we're going to move over into our candidate pitch event segment. So for those of you who are feeling a little brave today and want to do some public speaking, feel free to nominate yourself in the chat. In the chat, you could just put your name and industry, for example, and I'll pick the first 3 people who nominate themselves and invite them on screen to pitch themselves to our wonderful panelists in 30 seconds. So you can talk about yourself, your education background, your work experience background, projects you've worked on, other things that make yourself interesting. So, all right, we've got some nominees. Perfect. All right, we've got some brave souls today. All right, so what we'll do, I'll just do first come, first serve here. So we've got, I'm just scrolling back up here. Let's see here. I believe it was Sharon. Is that the first? Volunteer to pitch myself. I see Sylvia. Okay, we've got Sylvia's first up, and then Kirsten, and then Soundarya. I hope I said that right. Okay. So very exciting. So feel free to, if you don't have your video on, you can pop your video on. And then for Sylvia, feel free to pop on your microphone, and we'd love to hear your pitch.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Sylvia Hua. I have my bachelor's from University of British Columbia and my master's in science in kinesiology. So I have 9 years of experience as a kinesiologist and fitness professional. I spent the first few years helping injured workers return to work. And then I decided I wanted to help people become more proactive with their health. And that's why I switched to personal training. And through my job as a personal trainer, one of my old coworkers, I gained a reputation for being very scientific and very much caring about my client and spending a lot of time on my computer. So my old coworker, he recruited me into a tech startup. And there I acted as a subject matter expert, helping to develop an exercise app for seniors. And my job was to help create the content and the algorithm so that the app would create exercise programs that were customized for the person's preferences, their fitness level, and most importantly for older populations as their medical clinician. And that position made me really realize that I really like working behind the scenes, doing analytical and problem solving work. And that's why I decided to up-level my tech skills and got my diploma in data science from Lighthouse Labs. And so I have a lot of experience in helping individuals, and now I want to take my knowledge of health science, human behavior, and data science so that I can make my impact on a larger scale rather than one-to-one as I have been previously. So I'm hoping to find a role that can make use of my past experience and my new education in data science.
Fantastic pitch, Sylvia. I'm going to throw you over to Davin for a follow-up question.
Oh, to put me on the spot. You know what? I've already, while you were talking, I already added you on LinkedIn because I definitely do want to stay connected with you. We hired two data scientists in the fall of last year. And we were looking for, it was an added bonus if they had that health background. And so, if we had another position, I hope that we don't have to backfill a position right away or anything like that. But if we had another position come open, I would definitely want to talk to you about it. So I don't have any follow-up questions right now, but I would love to stay connected with you.
Okay, awesome.
Maybe my follow-up question for you then, Sylvia, is what would be your dream role? If you could fuse both worlds together, your tech skills and your health background.
Yeah, so ultimately when it comes to helping people with their health, it's no longer a matter of just knowledge and science. Really what we need to do is reduce friction. So there's a lot of overwhelming information, and I don't exactly know what specific job I'm going to have, but I know it's got something to do with the reducing the friction. So we need to create systems such as technology and good apps that prevent this data fragmentation. We need to create systems that make it easier because people are already overwhelmed with other aspects of their life. We don't need to overwhelm them with, finding a doctor and going through 5 different websites to do what they need to do. So it's something to do with reducing friction and making use of behavior change, because behavior change is really the key to helping people. And so I want to help. It'll probably be something to do with, ideally, my big passion is helping people ideally not really need healthcare in the traditional sense. I want to help people live better and be proactive with their health. So it might mean helping people with better health habits through corporate health initiatives, that support exercise and mental health support and such. Or it could be helping people do smarter exercise. But really, it's about helping people make the change, because people generally know what they need to do, but doing it is the tricky part. And that's really the thing that we need to tackle. We want to help people live better and reduce all these healthcare costs and just make people not feel frustrated with the healthcare system.
So you want to be part of the solution. I love it.
Yeah, but I'm exploring exactly what that looks like. And yeah, so that's why these events are really great, and just chatting with people in the industry as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being the first brave person to pitch yourself. So thank you so much. I'm going to call on the next pitch candidate, which was Kirsten.
Hi, everyone.
Hello and welcome.
Hi.
Thank you also for nominating yourself. I love it.
That was a very strong pitch to follow, Sylvia. So I'm a bit oh my gosh.
It's not a competition. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, that's true. My name's Kirsten. I live in Squamish in BC, just north of Vancouver. My background is in veterinary medicine. So I used to be a veterinary technician. I trained in the UK and moved over to BC a couple of years ago. I've decided to transition out of veterinary medicine to pursue something that I basically just love learning. So I kind of wanted to do something that I could keep up to, how can I word this? Sorry, I'm really nervous now. I'm so basically I was in veterinary in the veterinary medicine. I wanted to. I was feeling that I was getting a little bit stale. Basically, in veterinary medicine, there's kind of like a limit that you reach. That you can keep doing, you can keep training, and you can keep studying, but ultimately your responsibility levels stay pretty capped. So I found out about Lighthouse Labs. Had a few friends recommend the course in web development, and I've always just been naturally pretty good with computers, and I kind of wanted to take something that would take me to the next like 5, 10, 15, 20 years of my career. So I've just graduated last week. I'm still trying to figure out how I can use the skills that I've gained from being a vet tech. It's sort of, you have to be empathetic. Like the entire job was just empathy. So I feel like I've kind of managed to gain that a lot of like emotional intelligence from being in that role, and that's something I'm really, really proud of, and really like really happy to take through into new roles. Also part of being a vet tech, I moved around a lot. I was a locum veterinary technician for many years, and moving from practice to practice every couple of weeks, every 4 or 6 weeks. It's it's a new team, it's a new software system that I'm using, it's a new external lab that I'm using. So being able to learn new things very quickly just has become sort of second nature to me. And now doing this course in web development, every week we were learning a new framework, and I found that I was able to use those skills to just pick up information very quickly, retain it, and sort of begin to master it. So kind of, it's been really rewarding to see, even though I'm changing career and I feel like I'm kind of moving on to the next thing, I'm still using a lot of the skills that I picked up from that previous career. In terms of what I'm looking for going forward, I really enjoy being not only being a mentor to other people. So I'd love to be able to find a company that I can grow with and then become a mentor. I did that throughout my previous career, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. So ideally a company that I can kind of stay with and grow with and be able to be sort of bringing in the next round of developers. So that's something I'm very passionate about. So that's kind of my pitch. And I'd like to add a review on LinkedIn, connect with you if that's okay. I'd love to reach out to you if you're open to that. And thank you to the panel as well for taking the time out and talking us through this. And very interested to hear about all the background where everyone's from. And that's me.
Good pitch, Kirsten. I'm going to throw you over for a follow-up question to Shannon. And you did a very good job despite your nerves, so don't worry.
That's okay. Now it's my time to be nervous. So follow-up question, I got to come up with a follow-up question. We didn't go over this. What?
I actually had a question for you, Shannon, but
sure.
I can wait till the
you
end.
asked me first. That sounds good.
Okay. So it sounds like you sort of being in the IT department, I presume you kind of hire for all of the ranges from junior to sort of senior level. I'd be interested to hear, and I think Davin said as well, just with the volume of applications maybe that you've been seeing, if you have noticed the same thing, if you're kind of dealing with more applications, and if so, what are the trends that you're seeing in more of the junior level, just at my own kind of level at the moment? What are the trends that you're seeing with those resumes that are coming through? Is there anything that's kind of standing out that's lacking? Anything that you think that for them, for us kind of coming in now, what can we be doing better to sort of stand out specifically within healthcare?
For sure. Thank you for that. And I agree with Davin. Sometimes, you can go onto a company's website like ours, which is so big, and we hire for so many positions across the board. And sometimes people sit there and I applied a month ago, I haven't heard back from anybody. And it's not that anyone's being specifically ignored. Sometimes it's just that we haven't had time to get, we have a lot of applications. So that's why I think making that connection on LinkedIn, I have had IT professionals be like, I applied to this position specifically, and they reach out to me, and I'm like, oh, perfect. Because then I can go and take a look at your application. I can measure against what's needed, and I can speak to the hiring team directly on your behalf and sort of sell you as it was. I've been in recruitment before for other industries, and sort of that's what we do as well. The other thing too, I sometimes, which I think traps people up, is we have so many positions that will say lead or analyst. And sometimes people get tripped up by our health industry job descriptions. And I will put this right out there is our job descriptions have to be approved by the health authority of the province. So I always tell people, look in the job description itself, because that will tell you the specific area that position applies to. So sometimes it will say an analyst, which is like a junior role, or a senior analyst, or something else to go up and up. But if you see like 6 analyst roles and you apply for 6 analyst roles, that's terrific. But find one that's specific for you. If it is Fraser Health, we don't do specifically web development. We're not a web developing company. We're just in provincial healthcare. It's if the province gives us money to develop a few things, so hey, that's terrific. Or we'll work with companies like Davin's, for example, that will develop an app or something that will help us use that, like during COVID. But Fraser Health, we don't do any development ourselves for programs. But that's the one thing I can say is, if you find something specific, reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn, give me that specific thing, and then to really take the time to read through all those job description titles that might sound the same, see if there's a fit. And if it's something that you're really passionate about, if it's something that you can take extra training with, and then I will tell you, I'll be like, oh, you maybe need to take this analyst course. You have the IT skills, but we're looking for an analyst who's had some of that analyst training, something like that. And we'll be open to us. We're not going to say no and, just either brush you off or give you a false hope of anything. Just, hopefully that helps.
Oh, that's really helpful. Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you very much.
I guess my follow-up question too is, you're in Squamish. We are from Burnaby as our most western, and then out to Hope. So do you commute out that far? I'm just going to put that out there.
I am in Squamish. Sorry, put a tickle in my throat as well. I'm really having a great time here.
Okay, awesome.
I live in Squamish, but I'm looking to ideally something like hybrid. I'm happy to commute down into Vancouver for sure.
Okay, and we do offer hybrid work solutions, obviously for non-nursing roles. If anyone is looking to get into a nursing position, those are obviously on site. These cannot be hybrid. Sorry, we'd like to treat these patients. Yeah, exactly. No, no, sorry.
Okay, great pitch, Kirsten. I'm going to move over to our next pitch candidate, and you know what? I've just been chatting with a few people in here. I'm gonna allow 2 more pitch candidates. We're gonna actually hear 5 today. I've made this sudden decision here because people have asked me very, very nicely in the chat. And so our next pitch candidate will be, and I'm just scrolling back up, and forgive me if I'm not pronouncing your name wrong, Soundarya. And then we'll also do Sharon, because I read your name out initially. So, and then I think I definitely missed you at the top, Jay. So we'll do Jay and Sharon next. So Soundarya, the floor is all yours. Welcome. And thanks for also being a brave soul to pitch yourself today.
Thank you. My heart is pounding, actually. This is the first time I'm pitching in a new networking
event. You got this.
Yeah. So I moved in here in 2020, just before COVID, being a new mom. So I had a time during, the lockdown to do a bit of soul search and see what I can do next after being a mom. And I chose data science because I was very much into diagnostic medicine and preventive medicine, basically. So because the previous 2 years, I was caretaking my mom. She was diagnosed with false negative breast cancer first. Then it was a positive in an advanced stage. So I was really taken aback. And I really wanted to do something in medicine, especially in diagnostics and, in preventive healthcare. So I thought data science and AI, they are big new fields that can, with data and AI, we can leverage on, in preventive medicine. So I took up an education in data science. I did my PG, then currently doing my master's, and in track to finish my research in another 4 months. So as I told, I am very much interested in diagnostic and preventive medicine. That's why I'm doing a research based on in analyzing the sound of cough to classify if it is a COVID cough or a normal cough, or it is a pertussis or croup or any other cough. So I'm building an application for a preventive preventive um, medicine. In preventive medicine, basically, it's a food diary where you can just take a picture and log it in, what food it is, the calories would be entered to it. So I'm working on all these stuff by myself, and I'm currently looking to pitch in to jobs, my career back. And yeah, I'm applying for jobs, networking, and this. Thank you for giving me this opportunity in this networking event. I would like to connect with you all here.
Great pitch. It sounds like you're working on some really interesting projects. And you know what? Maybe I'll just pass you over to Reshmi for a follow-up question that you might have for you.
I'll be honest, I don't really have a follow-up question, but that sounds like some really cool personal projects you're working on. Just by the sound of it all, especially analyzing cough. That was, I think COVID hit a lot of us quite personally. So that one's quite dear to me at least, but I don't really have a follow-up for you. But yeah, I think it's some really cool personal projects that you're working on. So amazing.
Thank you.
Do. I actually
Shannon, I'll pass you over to Shannon. Yeah.
Just for those who are interested in data science positions for Fraser Health using AI, we do have positions that do come up available every once in a while. And I guess the one thing too, I'd be like, your experience would also be, you've taken the education. Do you have the experience as well?
Well, previously I was working as a business analyst, working with data and data visualization and analytics a bit.
Okay.
Previously in India for 8 years. So
okay.
Yeah.
And now you have that. Okay, interesting. Yes. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd be interested in exploring that further. And for those two that, like I said, for the data scientist positions, those are sometimes a little bit over my head when it comes to talking about AI and stuff. And I'm just like, I read that JD and I'm like, wow, man, that sounds cool, but whoa. But if you keep an eye on our website, every once in a while, we do have those positions available. And we're always looking for people who have that experience, especially that passion for healthcare. Along with that. So if you have that experience and the education, definitely reach out.
Fantastic. Great pitch. Well done. I'm going to invite Sharon to come pitch next year, and then Jay, and then we'll move into regular questions from the audience. So today we'll do 5 pitch candidates. So Sharon, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you for honoring not the numbers. Thank you. I'm glad to be here, and I want to echo Davin's feelings that fellow introvert, very difficult to network, very difficult to put yourself. So yeah, actually I was Googling how introverts find jobs. So here I am on a networking event talking about myself. I have my undergrad degree in psychology, then I have my master's degree in industrial psychology, where I fell in love with surveys. So last 5 years, I was working for a startup with all the HR experience. Like you name it, I have worn all multiple hats in the startup. In the HR space, created talent strategies, HR strategies, employee strategies. And towards the final year of the experience, I designed a lot of surveys, culture surveys, pulse surveys, a lot of work on employee experience. Unfortunately, they had to let go of entire Canada team. So yeah, I'm in the midst of finding a new job. And definitely I want to do something in mental health space. So looking for opportunities where I can bring in my survey experience, my HR experience, and my mental health background into action. So definitely very curious about Thrive Health and Fraser Health. I was just looking before this event, I was going through the website and figuring out if they have any roles, like even just an assistant role would be, and I can show my skills there and then work my way up. So, but yes, I have definitely decided to combine these two interest areas and skill set for my future. Thank you.
Great pitch here. And maybe I'll throw you over to Davin for a follow-up question.
I don't think we have anything right now on people and culture team, but you can sign up for job alerts on our website. So like on the bottom of all of our job listings, there's a sign up for job alerts. You just put in your name and your email address and you select which teams you're interested in. And then that way you get notified automatically when we post a job. And it just saves you from having to go to our careers page however often you would normally check it. And this is a question that, I mean, it could be a little bit complex, and maybe if you can answer it now, it's a good one, I think, to sort of keep in your back pocket to think about for future interviews for everybody here on the call, actually. But like working in a startup, there can be a lot of ambiguity. There's a lot of, sometimes there's a lot of I don't knows. Like you'll ask a question and the answer might be, well, we don't know because we've never done that before. And that can freak some people out. Right. Then maybe then a startup isn't the right place for you. But I'd love to know about a time when you didn't have all the information you needed to make a decision. What did you do in that situation?
Yeah, very interesting question. I was in this situation multiple times because, I was one of the first 25 employees, and then the company grew exponentially to 75 employees in-house and 200 employees as vendors, as in contractors. So multiple times I found myself figuring out, okay, what am I supposed to do? So definitely brainstorming, talking to my peers, talking to my manager, figuring out, okay, I know the situation is new for us. What we can do, or like if there is a tool that can solve this problem. So a lot of research, a lot of brainstorming, a lot of consulting other people, or even talking to people in my similar position in different companies, in different small startups where my friends were working or my university people were working. So just gathering my data and doing my research and bringing those things to my manager and just using my manager as a soundboard. Like, okay, I have found all those things. What can we do? So tackling that problem with multiple angles, that's what I have be doing to figure out a solution for a new problem.
I like it. I like your answer a lot. Well done.
Thank you.
Good job. That's a real interview style question. All right. And great pitch, Sharon.
Thank you.
We're going to finish up with our last pitch candidate, Jay Chun. Feel free to unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear your pitch. Hello.
Yeah, sorry to do this too. I got a little presentation, but I'm not sure if Zoom is going to let me do it or not. But we'll just go with it. You might have to understand. So hi, I'm Jay. I'm here to pitch myself. There's a massive hailstorm in Vancouver right now.
Oh, really? I'm missing it.
Yeah. So I used to be a combat engineer in the Republic of Korea Army. I was a landmine and explosive technician, and I deployed to a landmine clearing mission one time. And recently I came here to Canada. I started to study here, and I finished a degree in psychology. But while I was doing that to pay for university, I was a tree planter. I went to Concordia University out in Montreal, and I recently graduated from Lighthouse Labs, a coding boot camp, and studied web development. Great decision, had so much fun. And yeah, I'm here in BC looking for a job in like web or mobile development in the tech sector. And yeah, particularly like I have a passion for like crafting like solutions for everyday people. This was kind of like one of the kind of demo proof of concept projects that I worked on with some of my friends. It's a project called Nina, and it's actually like an application that we thought of for people in areas suffering from landmines to use their phone to track potential incidents of landmines on like a map application very similar to Google Maps. I've also been working on fun stuff like data visualization. So I took DEM data from NASA Earth data to make like a 3D model of Vancouver Island. This website is actually live. So if you scan that QR code, you can go visit it and you can see a little 3D topographical map of Vancouver Island. And to continue on with the data thing, like I really like technology and data is interesting because technology and data is not the end all and be all. People are, but technology and data can help us get to a lot of solutions to help people. And like something that I was wondering about was like when I moved here to Vancouver from Montreal, my mother-in-law was very concerned about crime. And so I was like, what does it actually look like? And someone had trawled the VPD police incidents and collected all the data. And so I just turned it into like a little crime heat map visualization. This one is not live because the data is incomplete and I don't want to spread misinformation. But yeah, that's my pitch. I'm Jay. I work with tech and web development. And I love crafting solutions for everyday people. Thank you for bearing with me here.
Jay, I am so impressed. You prepared a presentation just for our panel today. And I have so many questions about how you got a presentation up on screen. I don't even know how to do that. Well done. I'm going to pass it over. Maybe Reshmi's got a follow-up question for you. That sounds like you're working on some really cool projects. Well done.
Hey Jay, that was a very cool project. I would love if most of my candidates had such amazing work that I could show my hiring managers and make such quick hires with. I guess my follow-up question too, I see that you worked with a range of technologies there. What would be your favorite language to code in and why?
Well, that's a very easy question because I've mostly only coded in one, JavaScript. Fortunately, JavaScript is very versatile. It's kind of like, I forget what the saying is, but it's like if it can be made in JavaScript, it will eventually be made in JavaScript. So JavaScript, as we all know, is very versatile nowadays, and it works for both kind of like consumer facing products and more kind of like internal backend kind of products as well. And so for one of my projects, the one for reporting landmines, we actually set up this mock backend database, and we set that up using JavaScript, but we implemented a whole backend database structure called GraphQL, which was very fun. And JavaScript also now through framework and technologies other people have built compile into mobile applications. So I didn't have to learn a whole nother language. I could just write JavaScript and it would compile into code that would run natively on mobile phones. So yeah, JavaScript for sure.
Amazing. Thank you.
All right, very cool. Well done to all our pitch candidates today who are brave enough to pitch themselves and also have an impromptu presentation. I'm very impressed. Keep an eye on your email inboxes for an invitation from me for your resume consultation, either later today or tomorrow. I'll send out an email. So keep an eye on your email inbox, and well done. So now I'll just open up the floor to general questions. So if you want to, you can type your questions into the chat. You can also raise your hand, not physically, but because I can't see everybody. But if you look down at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there should be, okay, mine looks a little bit different because I'm on the web version, but on mine it has 3 dots and it says more. There should be a reaction option on here. The reaction also looks like a smiley face. So if you click on that, you'll find a raised hand feature in there. So if you want to raise your hand, you can raise your hand that way. You can also type your question into the chat. I noticed that Denny's had a question about, he had a question a bit back. So maybe we'll start with them and then we'll go on to anyone else who has questions. So I think, Denny's, your question was a bit more health sector related, probably for Shannon. Did you want to just jump on screen and ask your question for Shannon?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, yes, we can hear you.
Great. I haven't done this in a long time, and technology has changed. Right on. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see you and hear all kinds of stories. It's amazing. I like the fact that everybody wants to contribute to society. Yes, and I do have a certificate for renal dialysis technician, and I'm just wondering if there is anybody here that in the panel that is related to the hiring process in that field?
I myself am personally not, because I am doing IT recruiting for Fraser Health, but I do know that we hire renal techs. And of course, if you have the training, that's amazing. Have you taken a look at our website? Have you applied to positions?
Well, honestly, I did the training. I actually, this is an interesting story. I applied when I applied was probably 2012 or something like that. And then the government went through a process of updating the program or something. So I waited for like about 5 years in the waiting list for the program. I didn't know if I had been accepted or something. Or maybe there was, so I kept going to ask BCC, Vancouver Community College, and asked them what's going on. What is the reason? Why am I waiting for so many years for that program, right? And they were like, well, it just hasn't been updated or something. It's in the process. So I don't know. I was being I was wondering, I don't think that a program should take that long. But anyways, 2017 got approved, and I received a note, an email, and I was some kind of discouraged by the long wait, you know. But anyways, I did it, and something happened due to personal issues. I completed the program, but I couldn't continue working in the field. So basically, I haven't worked in it for a while, but I definitely I'm ready now to get back onto that. So there's more in depth into the story as to why I couldn't work for personal reasons. And yes, it's amazing how life works sometimes. But yes, I really want to find out. And no, I haven't checked the website really. I thought when I saw this invitation, I was like, well, maybe this is a sign that I should get back into what I meant to do from before. Right. Yes.
Perfect. And this is a tip for all applicants on here as well too. Sometimes, so our employment site where you apply for position is undergoing a bit of change, and so sometimes it doesn't let you upload a cover letter independently of your resume. But in your case, Denise, and this is with anyone as well too, I feel it's very important to attach a cover letter with your resume in the same document. We don't need to know the reasons, for personal reasons, why you stopped. That's none of our business. Okay. But you can just say it's, you took the training, yes, and for personal reasons you weren't able to continue and you would like to start up again. You're looking for a more junior position, an entry level, but you want to be a real tech, work in that area. Because that really then will show the recruiter, because if they look at a resume and they see education with nothing else, yes, they might not understand, and no one's going to phone and ask you and say, hey, by the way, was there a personal reason why you stopped? Because we can't ask that. That's none of our business. But if you put that in your cover letter and you just put down, outline the reasons, this is the information. Yeah, exactly. Explain it, and then put it with your resume in the same document. That's for anybody here who's applying to Fraser Health. Write a good cover letter, put it in the same document as your resume, because sometimes it doesn't let you upload it independently. And then we miss out on that information of you trying to sell yourself, because that's so important. And then if you apply, Denise, and you haven't heard for a number of weeks, reach out to me on LinkedIn, or reach out and just say, hey, I have applied and I haven't heard from anybody. Can you direct me to a renal tech and someone who's recruiting for that? And I can definitely direct you to them. It's not me, so I don't know all the parameters of that, but I can definitely direct you to a person in that area. I hope that helps.
Thank you so much. You give me a glimmer of hope. Thank you, Shannon.
Welcome.
Thanks for your question, Denise. All right. I see we've got some hands raised here, so we'll go first with Azadeh. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question. Is your question geared towards all three of our panelists or just one person in particular?
Hi, everybody. I have a question from Reshmi.
Okay.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. I didn't have opportunity to introduce myself, but I just want to ask Reshmi about the front-end development position that you have in your website, because you don't have this position on LinkedIn, in Northern LinkedIn webpage and LinkedIn page. I want to be sure if it's open yet or not.
Hey, yeah, that's a great question. So as of right now, we're not very actively looking for the front end. I think our main focus is more on the back end and DevOps side as of right now. But something that, we say a lot at Northern Labs is, if we come across a really strong candidate, even if it's not an open position, we'll still definitely want to hire them. So if that's something you're interested in, is the front-end developer position and you have experience with React, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to have a chat and see where this can go.
Yes, exactly. It's what I am exactly. I will reach out to you on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Perfect. Talk soon.
Thanks for your question. All right, next question from Sylvia.
Sorry, had to unmute myself. So, hi. So this question is, I think it probably applies to everybody, but probably most relevant for me would be for Davin, Thrive Health, just because it is the most interesting sector, or you know what I mean. So my question is, as a recent grad, I have to divide my time between applying for jobs, preparing for these hypothetical tech and non-tech interviews, working on my portfolio, and continuing to learn. And so I guess I'm wondering, how important is it to actually take courses where it comes with a certification so I can list it on my resume, as opposed to just learning from other unstructured sources potentially, where there isn't necessarily going to be a certificate associated, because there's limited time. So I'm thinking I prefer working on portfolios for now and networking and applying for jobs, but maybe I'm missing out by not having more things on my resume.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I bet you if you ask, or if you're asking all three of us, you might get three different answers, because it really does depend. I work with some hiring managers where that is kind of a necessity. They do want to see this, some sort of certification, some sort of stamp that says that you have done this work. And then other people where the experience is more what matters. For me, I'm more of an experienced person. But if you're working on your portfolio, then being able to show that you can, being able to demonstrate that you can do those things that you would have learned, but you just don't have time to take an official, course through a school or do something like that, because that's added cost as well. So that's my opinion on it. I don't know if other people on the panel have a different opinion or not.
Thank you.
I can just add to that. In our industry, it really depends on, I'll speak for IT, because for nursing, obviously you have to be certified. That's just not even a question. For IT, it really depends on the role. Someone had mentioned data scientist. And so if someone has that education, they've worked with AI, they can prove that. But in certain other areas, if you have the experience, perhaps you're working towards, let's say a business analyst, you've taken business analyst courses, doesn't necessarily mean there's a certification. If you have your bachelor's in computer science or something like that, of course, that's, they do look at that, because that really teaches you those steps of, the processes and things like that too. But much like Davin, I really do look at the experience and don't want to sort of discount, because sometimes that enthusiasm and that experience really speaks a lot, as opposed to, well, here's a piece of paper and I read this book and I know this. And it's okay, but where's the passion that we have, especially in healthcare? And that's why I've worked at Fraser Health for so long. People have that passion to want to help their neighbors, their family, their friends to get better. So a lot of our leaders will look at that too. They'll be well, yeah, we want that experience as well. We value that too. And again, in other fields, so other jobs, they'd have to have that.
Yeah, I understand. So I guess with when you say experience, does project work count? Just stuff that I'm not getting paid for, but I'm working on?
I always, because we have co-op students that ask us that as well too. New grads would be oh, I've done these 3 practicums. One was paid, one wasn't. It's it's experience. If it's relevant to the industry, definitely apply it. Put it down, add it to your resume for sure.
Okay, yeah, great. Thank you so much.
I would agree with both of them as well.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks for your question, Sylvia. All right, I see some more hands raised, so we'll go with Jay, then Irene, then Harman.
All right, yeah. This can go to any of the panelists really, but kind of along the lines where we want to see experience, we want to see passion, and the other thing we see, I know that in tech we're going through a bit of an employment crisis right now, but generally, like in the trends, like it seems like, especially in Canada, there's like this like massive need for workers, for skilled, not just laborers, but for like skilled workers, for technicians, for all kinds of jobs, because there's just like never enough people. And at the same time, like all around me, like I see like hardworking, passionate, technical, experienced, whatever, new grads, these people who are looking for jobs. And like, to me, it seems like employers are having an incredibly hard time finding the right people to work for them. And like people who like are hardworking, passionate, and qualified are seemingly having a hard time finding this job. And there seems to be like this disconnect between these two worlds, and like the discourse in the public sphere that goes on around this. And like, like we see this because like, the Canadian government is like spending a lot of money to try to support businesses, that they can hire more people to like help them financially, and to help like training people to like reskill or upskill into different sectors or industries. And so like from your perspective as recruiters who see this day in and day out, like where do you think like this kind of like seeming like mismatch comes from? I'll just open that up to all three of you.
Great question. Who wants to take a stab at this question first? Maybe I'll pass it over to Davin, and then Shannon and Reshmi can share their thoughts.
Yeah, I mean that's a really excellent question, and if there was a absolute answer, I think all of our worlds would be better. I think part of it is there is this disconnect, and part of our role as recruiters is to help sort of make connection between like, hey, you say you're looking for this, but don't get stuck on the form of something so much. Maybe that all those needs can be filled with this other way. It just looks a little different, right? They have these types of experiences that would help. And I don't want to put all the onus on the recruiters. We can help with that process, but we also need the hiring managers to engage with us as well, and leadership as well. So I think that it really could kind of, once that message starts coming from like the leaders, then I think that then it's on both sides, and then the hiring managers will come to. And I have some hiring managers who are already there, but it's a little bit, we are fighting a bit of a traditional thought pattern.
Could I ask a follow-up?
Sure.
Like we kind of talked like near the beginning just about like mass application sending, right? And like how that like is recommended in some circles, but like that's not really effective, especially from like the receiving end. It's just kind of, you get this wall of sometimes very uniform applications coming in, and like that's not helpful to either party. And so it's like my question is like, for me, when I'm connecting, if I'm talking to like a company or a recruiter that is hiring in an actual event, they see me, I can connect with them. I can get a feel for like, what is it that they want? What is their style? And like, does it actually fit me? Like, should I even like try, like maybe it's just not a good match, and I can get a feel for that. But like in the online world we live in, I can trawl 4 different, job posting sites, and like some of them are like handcrafted and you can tell, and a lot of them are just like very cookie cutter. They list out, requirements that would fit like 17 different people, and not one person will fit all of it. And like, it's non-descriptive in a sense, despite the amount of information they put in there. And so as an applicant, when I'm applying, like I can do my research about the company, but still like concerning the role, like it's hard to like come in and be like, how do I show you that I actually understand this and I think it's right for me, and thus I am applying, So like in this kind of weird, where there's too much information coming in from applicants and too much information coming in from like the companies who are posting this job, like how do you think you can like effectively cut through and like really understand what a role is, and also like demonstrate that understanding?
Yeah, because if I'm kind of reading between the lines a little bit, like it's almost like how do I know if how am I going to know everything? And you're not. That's just unfortunately the way it is. You're not going to know everything about the company and everything about the role and everything about the team and all of that vibe. You can do your best to sort of get a read on some of that, but then once you sort of, you kind of have a bit of a checklist of like, before I click apply, obviously there needs to be these things, or this vibe needs to be met. And with that information, if you can try to communicate that in a bit of a cover letter, I know that like a lot of cover letters are templated, and we can see when a cover letter has been sent, the same cover letter has been sent to all the jobs. But do your best in there. Like if it's something that you're quite interested in, hopefully you will be able to verbalize that within a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, and that should be what you submit. Follow up with the person if you can find that information on LinkedIn. And if you don't hear back within, I don't know, everybody's timelines are different, but if you haven't heard back in a week, like try to do a follow-up. It can be really hard. I agree that like sometimes you go on a website and you're not able to get a real sense. It's not until you get this conversation that we're having right now that you're going to get that sense. I don't know if I answered your question, but
that did. Thank you.
Okay.
And did Shannon or Reshmi have anything to add on? I think Shannon, you might have some thoughts to share.
I was just say I agree with Davin, and it's funny because when people look at our website, sometimes you'll have like 6 or 8 postings that will say lead health informatics, and it can get kind of frustrating. And yes, some of ours will look like it's cookie cutter. It's government. It's a government organization. Our job descriptions have to be approved at the highest level to make sure, and then we try to customize our sales pitch, but in each of those, they'll say lead health informatics for a different department, ambulatory, medical, maybe it's health records, maybe it is physio, maybe it's renal or something like that. And that's the time too, where you take the time to find the recruiter for that field. If you know me on LinkedIn, if you know somebody else on LinkedIn, reach out and say, hey, do you know who I can talk to about this? Do you think I'll be a fit for that? And in today's day and age, where you're able to find someone on a social media platform like this, I mean, back in the day, all you could do was, put your resume application through and that'd be it. But now you have these avenues where you can connect with someone and say, hey, just by any chance, and we'll give you honest feedback and be like, yeah, I think this manager's looking for that, or nope, but I can keep your resume on file or something, something like that. So it is sometimes a tricky minefield to navigate. Pardon the pun. Just, if you have an app to out navigate our recruiting minefield, great. But just, to find that, because like I said, someone can look at our website and see 8 or 9 postings with the same title. And they're like, oh, it's the same thing. It's like, it's technically not. It's for each lead in each different area within healthcare, and Fraser Health is big. So yeah. I have a follow-up, but I should give my other panelists a chance to talk. I'm going to play fair.
No, please go for it, Davin. I think between you and Shannon, you covered all of that.
And I just wanted to circle back on like, how do you maybe make yourself stand out? And I mean, I don't work for this company, but if you wanted to find a similar type of technology to Vidyard, Vidyard, I think there is like an option where you can use it for personal use at no extra charge. Anyways, a candidate recently, they made, a 2-minute video saying why they were interested in Thrive Health. And that spoke about 50 to 100 times louder than a cover letter. And, he's also being very strategic with his applications. But then I also know with this platform, you can see who's looked at your video. So then you can be like, aha, someone there has looked at it. Now I should be following up. And it just sort of, it was really impressive. And I thought it was sort of like next level applying.
That's cool.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
All right. Great question, Jay. And I hope your questions have been answered. I'm just mindful of the time because I know we've got 2 more questions coming up from Irene and Harman, and then we're going to have to start closing up the panel. So great questions. So I'll just move over to Irene. Thank you for your patience.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It's an amazing event. I've learned so much in less than an hour since I joined.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, it's something I was really, wondering whether I should join it because there's a lot of hiring events out there. But I think my curiosity has been really satisfied. But there's one question which, again, ties into Jay's question. I'm an international student, an MBA student, and I have a risk management background. Now, I am also aware that the Fraser Health, based on most of the participants here and the pitching, I see that they're a lot into medical, IT technology. My question is, how do you, especially as an international student, striving for inclusion and just basically throwing a lot of resumes out there and getting one rejection letter upon another, what are the prospects for us, especially if we come from professions which are not necessarily medical related, but I believe as a risk management expert, you also have the need to conduct risk assessment across your various health facilities. But then how do I sharpen my resume, especially if my background is from another country back in my home country? And a lot of times these companies are also looking out for people with Canadian experiences. What are my prospects? And again, are they usually part-time, or do they always have to be full-time? Because if it's full-time, then that means I have to wait until the end of my program to be able to apply. But then I'm that interested in working here.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And this question is for Shannon, right? Because you're interested in Fraser Health Authority. Shannon, what are your thoughts on kind of getting your foot in the door without any Canadian work experience?
We do look at international. And as you know, the government has just made a big surge towards hiring international nurses. They made a lot of strides with that because healthcare is in a crisis right now, especially for that. For risk management, I am honestly going to have to say, I personally don't know myself because I've been working in IT recruiting, but I can take a look and see if there is a recruiter that deals with that. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I can try and find you someone who can help you with that. I would be guessing, and I don't like to do that. I'd prefer to say, I honestly don't know, but I can find someone who does, and they can connect you with that. For myself, we usually have a lot for the business analysts and data analysts and leads and things like that are usually local, but I do know that there are certain areas that are looking for more specialized education and training, and they will look internationally. If someone has a work permit, if they can sponsor them, things like that, not necessarily nurses again, because they are given for sure. So yeah, definitely reach out to me and I can help you make that connection to someone who can help you better than I can. I'm sorry.
No worries, for sure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great question, right. Irene. And Irene, I can add on to that a little bit. Yeah. I know for like international students, like if you get the PGWP after you graduate, like if you're in a PGWP eligible program, you have more opportunities. So you've got, more time to make connections and get your foot in the door that way. I know if you're in like a co-op program, it's much harder, right? Like, because when your program ends, you don't have that option of an open work permit afterwards. So, you're in that kind of like time crunch. So it depends on your program. So that's kind of what I've been seeing the trends, at least in BC.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Okay, great. Last question here from Harmon. Thanks for your patience.
No problems. Thank you. So I'm Harmon Sidhu, and first of all, I do want to say thank you. This has been an amazing panel, and I recognize a few faces from the Regatta event. Hi, Sylvia, and so it's amazing to have everybody here and give all the big tips. So thank you. I made it home, so I can now ask a question. I actually have multiple questions, and I'm going to first start with this one. This is a quick one, and hopefully I have an opportunity to ask a second one. The big theme that I'm hearing today is that reach out to recruiters, do your research, reach out to recruiters and ask additional questions. With the tech world, my background is in tech, leadership, engineering leadership. So with so much volatility happening in the market, so many companies have laid off, so many people are looking for jobs. Are you actually, physically able to go through and respond to every request that you're getting, potentially, if you're getting a whole? I'm assuming everybody's getting lots because, everybody's applying. So I'm really just curious that, with so much happening in the market, what is your bandwidth like to be able to respond to so many requests that are potentially coming through?
That's a really good question. I'm going to throw it over to Reshmi because I feel like I haven't given you a question in a while. So I'll start off with you.
Thank you. Well, that's actually a great question, and it's something that I have wondered a lot. So I got my first ever job by reaching out to like a lot of people on LinkedIn just for like a 10-minute chat to just learn what it's like to be a recruiter. So I understand that, I guess, the other perspective of things. So personally for me, like that's something I do the first thing in the morning because I don't like to schedule anything at 9 a.m. I'm just still like trying to prepare myself for the day. And something that I like to do at that time is just like go over my LinkedIn, reply to as many people as I can. Now, I'm not saying I reply to every single one of them. In tech, like the second I put up a job about like a backend engineer or DevOps engineer, I do get like a lot of messages. But in my case, I guess what I try to focus on is we are looking to only hire people who are currently based anywhere in Canada. So if I'm getting requests from people who are maybe in other parts of the world, as of right now, I might respond to other people before I respond to them. And that's kind of how I like to keep on top of it. But yeah, personally, like I give at least 40 minutes a day just to get back to people on LinkedIn.
That's great to hear. I would love to hear everybody else's perspective and maybe tips and tricks. And this is also potentially to reinforce the fact that people do respond back. Because I'll be honest, I reach out to people a lot and it's like very minimal that I hear back.
Yeah, Shannon and Davin, what's your experience with this?
Sure. If someone reached out, if someone applies to our positions, and again, healthcare Fraser is big. We have a lot of postings up there. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I do respond to people who reach out, and if they say, hey, I applied to this position, can you take a look at my application? For sure, I will let you know. Again, if it's missing some of the education that we're looking for, if it's something that I can put you forward to, you sound like you had tech leadership, so that's terrific. We're looking for lead positions right now to apply to. So take a look through, apply to some of them, send me an email on LinkedIn and just say, hey, I applied to this. Can you take a look and see? For sure. And I know sometimes it's not always feasible for us to reply to everybody that applies in healthcare. It's just, unfortunately, I would love to say we can and we have the time to that. We don't. We honestly just sometimes don't have the time to do that because it's a lot of volume. But if someone reaches out to me on LinkedIn, I will get back to you on that medium. And then just to let you know, at least the process, the standard, or the progress of your application, where it's at, and something like that. So I will always give you feedback. I will let you know if you reach out to me there. Or if I can connect you with someone who can help you.
Amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'll just quickly chime in, and I'm not speaking on behalf of all recruiters because we all have different tools and that we use to try to manage all of these applications that come in. We recently just got a new toy for me, and I'm super happy because it does allow me to manage applications a little better. So I am able to review and respond to everyone. Not everyone does get reviewed, and in those cases, when they have applied, maybe they came very late in the process, like 2 days before we filled the position. The response that I provide is, we did fill this position, but please let's stay connected. I still think the best thing, what Shannon was talking about, is to make sure you apply first and then you make the connection. I do eventually, I'm not always like within 1 to 2 business days, but I do eventually get back to all my LinkedIn messages. And if you've done that, I applied and I'd love to blah, blah, whatever your unique messages that you're sending me that's going to make you stand out above everyone else, then that makes it just a lot faster.
That makes sense. I mean, that reinforces a lot, what I was hoping to hear, and also some good tips, right? An important one, like you shared, is to submit the application, and then you have a lot of context to connect with and make it more personalized. So that's great to hear.
Thank you so much for your question, Harman. We've unfortunately run out of time for questions today, and I know you had one more, so feel free. Okay. You can send it over to me, and I'll give my email in a bit, and I can also forward it over to our speakers who are here today, because I know you had one more, but I'm just conscious of the time because our speakers might have other appointments to get to. So I just wanted to start to wrap up the panel here. So Davin, Reshmi, and Shannon, I'll let you add any last remarks or tips tips or words of advice that you want to share with our candidates today. So I'll start in reverse alphabetical order. We'll go with Shannon, then Reshmi, then Davin.
Awesome. I just want to say, I think everyone here did great. Don't feel nervous to reach out. I think it's, the more passion that you have for putting yourself and finding the position that you want, just keep trying. Don't give up. Something that you want, just go for it.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that, Shannon. Okay, Reshmi, any words of advice or tips for our candidates today?
Well, first off, thank you for everybody for making it for this event. This is very cool. Also for taking the time to actually do the pitches. I don't know if I would have done it if I was on the other side. To be honest, I would be freaking out a little bit. So that's amazing that all of you were able to do it. I think I don't really have too many tips. I know it's tough. It's a really rough market out there, and it can be very daunting when you don't get replies. I think my biggest tip is don't be afraid to follow up. If you don't get a response the first time, please do follow up. We will do our best to get back.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, last but not least, Davin.
Are these always this good? I feel like this one was a lot of fun. I don't know about me, everyone else.
You're welcome
but I thought it was really
it was fun.
Really
I agree.
I guess like any sort of parting tips would be the whole apply smarter and don't apply and just randomly do a little bit of research, find a reason to connect. And you're going to have to do that eventually anyways, if you do get hired by this company. So maybe do that at the beginning. And I think you're going to get better results, like more bang for your buck.
Great tips. Wonderful. Well, it was such an absolute pleasure to have you three on our panel today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your super busy schedules to join us. And I know today's technically your Monday after, a busy long weekend. So I appreciate that. If anyone is looking for work or new opportunities, check out Northern Labs, Thrive Health, and Fraser Health Authority's hiring pages. I think there might be some links in the chat, but maybe some links could be shared in the chat. And you can also check out our March 21st panel with speakers from IBC, BC Transit, and Security Guard coming up next month. So that's our next Hire Me 2023 panel. And I believe the theme of that panel is industry changes. So that should be interesting as well. You can find our events at BCJobs.ca/events to register. Lastly, you can always shoot me an email with any questions to events@BCJobs.ca. And thank you again for joining us. Thank you to our pitch candidates for those amazing pitches today and the one presentation from Jay. And good luck with the job hunt. I know, it's a tricky market out there. So keep your chin up and keep your hope up. But you'll find something soon. I know it might just take a bit of time. So yeah, keep the hope alive. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and happy belated Families Day from yesterday.
Thanks, Chelsea.
Bye,
everybody.
Bye.
Nice to meet everyone.
Bye.
Take care.